Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Stuff for You, where we're making good stuff for you. So I've been out of commission for a long time. I've been super busy. I'm doing my Eagle Scout project, college applications, everything of the sorts. So that's why I had to push this stuff to the side, but I'm back now. I got some in the tank. I'm ready to go. So if you see a couple of videos later on, I'm gonna have a lot shorter hair because I recorded those like months ago, but then just didn't have time to do all this stuff. So today I'm talking about baseball. Baseball is back, or almost back, I should say. Opening day is just a few days away, and we are ready to go. I'm so hyped. I'm wearing my Brewers shirt, 2008 playoffs. I'm just so excited for baseball. It has been so long. I can't wait to go to a couple of games with COVID safe regulations and everything. So for today, we're going to be talking about my projections for the season moving forward. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through each division. I'm going to go from bottom to the top, and I'm going to give a couple of players and storylines that I think you guys will find really interesting. And if this episode or video goes well, I'm going to think about starting up just like a good sports for you, not good stuff for you, a good sports for you, because I really want to talk about basketball and baseball over on a separate channel because I want to keep this separate, with just more fun stuff. But over there, I want to be talking about basketball and baseball all the time. But I feel like those are two completely different audiences. So we'll see how this one goes. So we're going to start off in the National League West, home of the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. Very top-heavy division over there. So starting from the bottom, we got the Rockies. The Rockies are bad. There's no other way to put it, in my opinion. I think they're by far the worst team in this division. A couple of players that you might want to watch out for, though, is Trevor Story. He's an absolute stud over there at shortstop, but I have a feeling that they're going to trade him because they don't want to pay him later on. So they don't want to give him the big extension, so I think they're going to trade him, try to get something back for him while we can. There are a couple of potential trading spots. I'm eyeing up my Milwaukee Brewers for it. I think that would be really nice. Maybe a couple of put together a nice little package over there, and I think we get a really good shortstop in Trevor Story. But I think the Rockies are going to get rid of him, whether it's to the Brewers or anywhere else. Another player, German Marquez, he is a really good pitcher, but he gets overshadowed there over at Coors Field because the numbers don't look good. But you look at the ERA plus, and you look at the numbers compared to other pitchers at Coors Field, he is good. Get him out of Coors, get him somewhere where he can thrive, and you can get yourself a really nice quality rotation starting pitcher for your team. Moving up, we got the Diamondbacks. I think there's a big jump from the Rockies to the Diamondbacks. This team could have a chance at third, but I just don't think they're there yet. A couple of players you really want to look for. Ketel Marte, the Marte Parte. He is good. He finished fourth in the MVP. He's really nice. He didn't have the best year in 2019. He finished fourth in the MVP, that is. He's good. I think you should keep an eye out for him. I'd love to see him succeed even more. Zach Gallen. He is currently injured right now. He is a pitcher for the Diamondbacks. He's a young stud of a pitcher, finished 9th in the Cy Young voting in his second season in the big leagues. He does have an injury in a hairline fracture in his forearm, so hopefully he gets better because he can twirl with the best of them. Keep an eye out for him in the future for sure. Next up, we got the San Francisco Giants. This team is kind of in a weird spot. They're not going for the top of the division. Maybe they're going for a wild card, but I don't think they're there yet. They don't have the young players to be able to build for the future. They're in a limbo where I don't like if you're a fan of the Giants. A couple of players, though, that are really good. Grandson of Red Sox legend Mike Yastrzemski, Yaz. He's really good. Grandson of Carl Yastrzemski. He had a fantastic year last year in 2020. Will he be able to keep that up for a full season? I don't know. Who knows? Another guy a little bit different that I want you to keep an eye out for, Buster Posey. He sat out last year, but as I'm sure you all know, he is a fantastic catcher, won an MVP, multiple-time All-Star. He is a leader on and off the field. Can't wait to have him back, so I really hope he succeeds. The only thing that I'm really worried about with this team as a whole is the pitching just isn't there, and that's what I think is going to hold them back. Next up is the Padres. Arguably the most exciting team in baseball, and they happen to be in the NL West, but I don't think they have a chance at number one because the number one team is just so good. But the Padres are head and shoulders above the Giants, in my opinion. They have a super fun team to watch. Tatis, Machado, Grisham, Jake Cronenworth, just Wow, only those 4 players alone, and that's just in your starting lineup? Not to mention the pitching. Darvish, Snell, Paddock. They have really good pitchers. They got even more just from that. Dinelson Lamet. Come on, this team is stacked. I cannot stress how good they are and how good they will be in the future. They have Machado locked up. Grisham is young and still on his rookie contract. Tatis just got locked up for a long time. This team is really good right now, and the thing is, they'll be just as good, if not better, in the future. Fantastic team. I have them also getting a wild card spot, but not winning the division. Next up, the best team in baseball. It's undeniable. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mookie Betts, second best player in baseball behind Mike Trout. Cody Bellinger, good, really good. Their pitching is fantastic. Kershaw, Buehler. And then they just added Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer. I'm not the biggest Trevor Bauer fan, but he's good. He won the Cy Young. He's really good. They also got Corey Seager. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Justin Turner. This team is stacked. There is no way they don't win the division, in my opinion. I think they're a fantastic team. Moving on to the National League Central, my division. At the bottom, we have the Pirates. The Pirates are bad. There's no other way to put it. They're, in my opinion, the worst team in baseball. The only bright spot is Brian Hayes. This dude's going to be an absolute stud for you guys in the future. But right now, you're bad. You just got to rebuild. Basically, that's the whole thing. The Cincinnati Reds, they were trying to go for it last year. They really bought in to 2020, and it failed. They did make the playoffs. They made the expanded playoffs as the 7th seed and then lost to the Braves. Not that great. Not what you wanted to see from after going out and paying the big bucks. We thought they were going to have a fantastic offense last year. That just didn't happen. Their pitching could be the bright spot, but then you just lost your Cy Young winner. This team just isn't really working together. The one guy I really want you to keep an eye on, though, is Luis Castillo. He's good. I'd like to see him put it together a little more because I think this could be the year when he hits the jump to the next level and really become a potential Cy Young candidate. So you'd love to see that from the team. Amir Garrett is super fun to watch. For my sake, I hope they don't put it together, but for the sake of the team, I hope they do put it together. Moving on, the Cubs. This is that core Cubs that won the World Series. This is their last and final push before, in my opinion, you just got to blow it up. You got Bryant, who's going down in trade value, what seems like every single day. You have Rizzo. I just saw something really quick about how he's not talking about a contract extension with the Cubs anymore. That's not good. This is your final year to put it together, and you just traded Darvish. You just let go of Kyle Schwarber. I mean, it just seems like the team is falling apart. A guy you want to keep an eye out for, though, is Javi Baez. He had a bad year last year, or really bad year last year. But he was a big guy who used the video room a ton to adjust his swing mid-game. And now that the video room is back, we'll see how he can do. Moving on, the Cardinals, the two guys you obviously have to talk about are the corner infield. Nolan Arenado, the biggest acquisition, in my opinion, by any team in the offseason this year. He is really good. He's a gold glover. He's a platinum glover, and he's a stud with the bat. And then over at first base, you have Paul Goldschmidt, leader, future Hall of Famer, absolute stud with the bat, can pick it defensively. He is a good, really good player. Those two guys create a fantastic infield no matter who you have. They lost Colton Wong. That's a big hit to their defense for sure, but I think they'll be able to compensate it. Jack Flaherty, maybe he can put it together a little bit more, become that potential Cy Young candidate we were hoping he would be last year. I don't know. For my sake, I hope not, because I have him right below the number 1 team, the Brewers. A lot of people, in my opinion, seem to be counting the Brewers out. Yelich is going to be back. He had a bad year last year. I mean, bad year. He had a 111 OPS plus, so he was still good. He's going to be great, back to his regular self. Spring training, he's looking fantastic. They're saying he's looking like old Yelich again, which is great to see. Love to see that. Kane is going to be back. He opted out because of COVID last year. He is a leader for the team. Defensively, he is the anchor of the team. And also, he, in my opinion, is the spirit of the team, the backbone of the team, everything we need. Added Colton Wong, up in the middle, nothing's getting past him. Added Jackie Bradley Jr. You have 4 legitimate potential all-stars in the outfield now, in Yelich, Kane, Garcia, and Jackie Bradley Jr. Moving over to the pitching, a lot of people say, oh, the Brewers pitching isn't that good. It's good this year. Woodruff is a legitimate ace. Burns is a legitimate second ace. Hader and Devin Williams will hold down any bullpen in baseball. The best 1-2 punch out of the bullpen for sure. In my opinion, they're the clear-cut favorites for the NL Central, despite it being the worst team in the division, the worst division in baseball. So that's, yeah, wow, best of the worst, I guess. But still, I'd love to see it. 4th consecutive postseason for the Brewers. I wouldn't mind it. Moving on to the NL East. At the bottom, I hate to say it, I'm going to put the Miami Marlins. The team is just missing a couple of pieces. I think they're 1 or 2 years away from making something really happen. I think they're really fun to watch, and that's about it. Sexto Sanchez, I would love to see him build off what he put on even more yesterday. Last year. I was just looking at the fan graphs, and they have him actually starting in AAA, which I feel like is kind of weird. I would have him starting the bigs because he was great last year. Jazz Chisholm is another guy you want to keep an eye out for. He was a top 100 prospect. Picker at shortstop. He's really good. He had a bad debut season last year, so hopefully he can build it together a little more. The team is fine, but the NL East is so stacked, I couldn't see him even trying to get a 4th place spot. Moving on to the 4th place spot, again, this is a good team, but I don't see them breaking the top 3. This is the Philadelphia Phillies. I can't put them higher. I'm sorry. I'm looking at their team. They're good. They're really good. Bryce Harper is fantastic. If anything, he's underrated now. How is that even possible? He could be an MVP candidate. How is he underrated? He is fantastic. You have JT Realmuto, a consensus top catcher in baseball. He is fantastic. Didi Gregorius is a solid shortstop. Alec Baum, he had a great rookie year. Can he build off of that and make it even better? The bullpen, though, just isn't there. It will let you down in games. That's not what you want to see. I just can't put them past these other teams, which I feel like are a lot more complete or just have stronger players in general. The 3rd place team is the Washington Nationals. Juan Soto. That's all you have to say. Juan Soto is the future of the league. He is so good right now. Heck, maybe you could put him top 10 players in baseball right now. He is that good. People are saying he's Ted Williams 2.0. Holy cow, Ted Williams was a first ballot Hall of Famer. If Juan Soto is even close to that good, the Nationals have something really nice on their hands. And I mean, looking at his season last year, he was shortened from the already shortened season. If he can keep some of that, at least, he will be so incredibly good. MVPs, multiple-time All-Star in the future, without a question. I'd like to see him get a little better defensively, though. That's the only thing. And then you got the big 3 starters right there, Scherzer, Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin. They'll hold down any rotation at all. The bullpen, though, is a little lackluster, which is why I cannot put them at number 2. And over at number 2, you have the New York Mets. I was battling between putting them 1 or 2. They added Francisco Lindor. Huge addition to the team. He is such a good shortstop, 1 or number 2 in baseball, in my opinion. Jacob deGrom, the best pitcher in baseball. It's not arguable. He is that good. He's won 2 Cy Youngs in the past 3 years, and then last year, he was fantastic. He is so good. Top of line of any rotation in baseball. You would love to have him on any of the teams. But the thing that's holding me back for them is it's the Mets. I just feel like they've been in this position before where they've had a really good team and they haven't even made the playoffs. They haven't had a team that is this good, but because they are this good, maybe you could have them making the playoffs. I have them as a wild card team, but I cannot see them taking that number 1 spot because it is the Mets simply. And Pete Alonso needs to find it again. He was okay last year. He was not as good as his rookie year. If he can reach his rookie of the year heights again, this team could be fighting for that number 1 spot. And at the number 1 spot, you got the Atlanta Braves. I mean, Acuna, Albies, Ozuna, Dansby Swanson. You're not even mentioning the MVP, Freddie Freeman. The lineup, just top to bottom, is stacked. And then you got Pache coming up from the minors. He is a top 10 prospect in baseball, and you're adding him in center field? This team is ridiculously good. The only thing that's holding them back is their pitching, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. You got Max Fried. Hopefully Mike Soroka will come back a little bit later. Charlie Morton. The team is good. The team is really good. I have them winning this division. But if they can maybe get their starting pitching a little bit better, maybe you could see them even farther in the playoffs, maybe like the World Series. I don't know. And then moving on, I'm going to the AL West. This division, in my opinion, is just kind of meh. Pretty bad in general, so we'll see what happens. The Rangers I got at the bottom. There's not a ton to like about the Rangers. I guess you have Joey Gallo, who's going to hit home runs. Cool, that's about it. The team just isn't that good. Moving on, we got the Mariners. I'm a lot more excited about this Mariners team. I don't see them making the playoffs, but give them 1 or 2 years, and they're right there in the heat of it, especially if the West stays the way it is. Kyle Lewis won Rookie of the Year last year. You have Jared Kelenic coming up maybe this year, maybe next year. I'm thinking this year. Julio Rodriguez is looking like a stud, so give him 2 years. I think this team could be really good. The thing that's holding them back, though, is their pitching again. Their starting rotation just isn't there for me. Their bullpen isn't there for me. But I could see them maybe making a run at third, maybe even second, just because this division is just an absolute disaster. 1 through 3 is just a mess, and then if the Mariners go in there too, I don't know. I like the Mariners team. I hope they keep Kyle Seager around I hope they sign him for a contract. I know the GM was just spewing nonsense a while ago. But I really hope the team stays the way it is because I really like Kyle Seager. I think he's a good guy for the team. Moving on, you have the Houston Astros. Boo, the Astros. Bang, bang, bang on the garbage cans. Jose Altuve, boo. He's the guy you want to keep an eye out for, though, sadly. He was great in the playoffs last year, but he had a terrible regular season. Maybe it's because you didn't know what pitches are coming. Maybe that makes your batting a little bit worse. I don't know. Alex Bregman had a down year. What a shocker. Maybe because he wasn't hearing things in the back of his head that was telling him what pitches it was going to be. I don't know, but I mean, going through the lineup, Altuve, Correa, Bregman, Brantley, I mean, the team is good. I hope they don't succeed, in all honesty. If there's one team I hope doesn't do good, it's the Astros. I would like to see those succeed as Yordan Alvarez, because I don't think he was part of that whole cheating scandal, so I hope he does well for himself. But I hope the Astros stay at 3. I hope they don't make the playoffs. Moving on, you have the Angels. Mike Trout, I hate to say it, he's not going to make the playoffs again. How disappointing, because the team... Trout, Rendon, Shohei Ohtani, and other players too. They're a good team. They lost Andrelton Simmons, which I think will hurt their defense for sure. And then, Angels, get some pitching, please. You're bringing Jose Quintana? That's what you get? That's your starting pitcher? That's your guy who's going to save the team? No, that is unacceptable. Get Trout some support out of the pitching rotation. I mean, are you really going to be relying on Dylan Bundy to go out and be your star? Yeah, he had a good year last year, but he's not. I don't think he'll be able to replicate it again this year. Please get something, anything at all. Trout is the best player in the league right now. He needs anything. Albert Pujols, obviously, I'd like to see him do good just because it's Albert. First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. I'd like to see him punch out a little bit more. And moving to the top, I had the Oakland Athletics. You got the Matts there, Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. I did not realize how good Matt Chapman was. He has put up 8.3 WAR in 2018 and 2019. 8.3, that is ridiculous. He is 1A or 1B with Nolan Arenado of the best defensive third baseman in baseball. He is really good. And then next to him, you have Matt Olson over at first base, who it's his birthday today. Yay, happy birthday, Matt Olson. Woohoo! I don't think the Athletics are that good, but this is kind of the opposite of the Mets. It's the Athletics. They always find a way to at least make it work. And because the division is so weak this year, I think they'll be able to win the division. Moving on to the AL Central at the bottom, I have the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers, the best thing I'm hoping for the Tigers this year is that Miguel Cabrera can have a good season so he can hit 3,000 hits. That's about all I'm hoping for. Casey Mize, he was the first overall pick. I'm hoping he's good this year because he had a bad, and when I say bad, I mean terrible rookie debut, but I think he still has his rookie standing, so hopefully he'll be good this year. There's just not a lot to hope for the Tigers team. I'm thinking it's kind of a team where it's like 2 years in the future, there'll be 2 years from being contenders. I just think that's the spot that they're at right now. There's just not a lot going on in Detroit right now. Moving up, Kansas City Royals. The guys I want you to keep an eye out for, Whit Merrifield, Bobby Witt Jr., the two Wits back at it again. Bobby Witt Jr. could make his debut this year. It'd be really nice. Maybe he'll be getting some Rookie of the Year votes because this guy is a stud. The number 2 overall pick. Definitely keep an eye out for him. They added Andrew Benintendi, who is a solid player. This team could maybe move up to 3. I don't really know. And then Mondesi is good. He was stealing all sorts of bases. I think he had 24 stolen bases in 2020 in 60 games. That's outrageous. They just signed Salvador Perez to a massive contract. I didn't realize he's only 30. He's young still, and he's a stud. He absolutely hammering baseballs, and he's a fantastic defensive catcher. I'd love to see him succeed even more than he has right now. I mean, this Royals team, it's missing a little something. This team is 1 or 2 years away from me personally. Maybe they can make a run at 3rd place, but I don't see them making the 1 or 2 team at all, cracking the playoffs. Next up, we got Cleveland. They lost Francisco Lindor. That hurt. They lost Carlos Santana. That hurt. They lost Carlos Carrasco, too. I mean, this team it's just kind of in the middle. The couple guys that I want you to keep an eye out for, Shane Bieber, he's great. Jose Ramirez, he's fantastic, honestly underrated. He's going to be getting MVP votes almost every single year. And then Tristan McKenzie. I have been on Tristan McKenzie since day 1. This guy is one of my favorite young pitchers coming up. He is really good. I love to watch him pitch. I think he's really fun to watch, in my opinion. But the team, I just feel like isn't there right now. I feel like they're on a downward trajectory right now. So like I said, I could see them even finishing 4th. Moving on, I did switch these teams. I originally had the White Sox here, but now I'm moving it to the Twins. The Twins, I was just comparing the teams. The White Sox are just really good. The Twins are really good too. I have them getting a wild card spot for sure because they are that good. They added Andrelton Simmons, who is one of, if not the best defensive shortstop of all time. He's right up there with Ozzie Smith. He is that good. He will help any team. I wish we had him on the Brewers. Nelson Cruz, will the ageless wonder continue to get even better? He just mashes, and he's going into his age 40 season or something like that. Imagine that, being 40 and just still crushing home runs. You're old enough to have a teenage kid and you're just smashing home runs left and right. Byron Buxton, if he can get healthy, sneaky MVP candidate? He hasn't had a really healthy season all year, so if he stays healthy, he could be that guy because he had a great 2020. The pitching is pretty good. They have Kenta Maeda, who is honestly underrated too, but the pitching just isn't there for me as a whole. And then number 1, like I said, I switched these teams. I have the Chicago White Sox number 1, Luis Robert. A stud. He's going to be even better this year. He had a pretty good Rookie of the Year campaign. I think if he was kind of up and down with his rookie season, if he can channel that really goodness, he could be an MVP candidate. Well, not an MVP candidate, an all-star candidate for sure. Tim Anderson is also one of my other favorite players. He's fun to watch. I love guys who hit for high average, and that's all he does. He is really good. He's energetic. I think he brings great life to every team. And then that's not even mentioning the MVP, Jose Abreu. I feel like for both teams that got an MVP last year, I just feel like it's just kind of and they also happen to have MVP because both of the teams are just so stacked. Jose Abreu is a beast. Underrated too. He just mashes. That's what he does. He hits dingers. He hits it hard. He just hits. He just flat out hits. And their pitching is so good. This is why I had to move him to number 1. Lucas Giolito. Pitched a no-hitter last year. He's still young. He may even get better this year. Lance Lynn? Sneaky good. Almost every year finishing in the top 10 in Cy Young votes all the time. How does he fly under the radar all the time? He is that good. Dallas Keuchel, another good pitcher. He had a really good year last year. I think he was a candidate to be in an all-MLB team if he wasn't last year. I mean, those 3 guys, that 3 rotation rivals the Nationals in my opinion. And then you got the second best relief pitcher in baseball just behind Josh Hader and Liam Hendricks. He is so good. He signed a fat contract with the White Sox, and I think he'll be really good for them. This team is great. The Twins, I have the wild card. I don't know if I said that. White Sox are fantastic, though. It's a top-heavy division again. And then moving on to the final team, the AL East. At the bottom, the Orioles. Again, this is a team that's probably a year away from being 2 years away. They're working on it. Once they bring up Adley Rutschman, I think that'll be good. Hopefully he's really successful. That's the guy I want you to be keeping an eye on. Ryan Mountcastle is also another good guy. He's a really highly touted prospect, and I think he'll be really nice for the team as a whole. But then the main guy, what a story. Trey Mancini. He had cancer. He beat cancer. He'll be back this year. Hopefully he absolute rakes like he did before, because he was right hitting his peak. And then he got cancer, which it hits really hard for sure. Hopefully he can come back. It's a feel-good story, and I would love to see him succeed. Moving on, moving up, I have the Boston Red Sox. Okay, what about them? Alex Verdugo's pretty good. Xander Bogaerts is pretty good. Both of them I'd like to see even get a little bit better. I think Alex Verdugo will be. Xander Bogaerts defensively isn't that great. He's got the bat, though. JD Martinez is another guy kind of like Javier Baez, where he didn't have access to the video room, and that is what he relies on, is that video room to be even better. Since he did have that last year, he had a bad year last year. Chris Sale, will he be back from injury? And if he does, will he be the Chris Sale we used to know? If he is, we could see him having the potential to not reach number 3, but maybe be closer to number 3. At number 3, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. This team is young. This team is fun. Vlad, Flo Bichette, Kevin Biggio. They just added George Springer, and then they got the pitcher in Hinchin Ryu. This team could have the potential to sneak in a wild card spot and maybe even reach that number 2 spot in this division for sure. The team is looking nice. Just give them a year, and they'll possibly be playoff contenders for sure, competing for the title. But I just don't think that this year is the year. Wait for the guys to get a little better. I want Vlad to take the jump because he was so highly touted, and he just isn't there yet. I want to see him make the leap. The Rays are a team similar to the Athletics. They kind of lost a little bit. They lost Snell, which hurts a lot. They lost Charlie Morton, which hurts for sure. But then they got Randy Arozarena coming up. They have the potential of Wander Francoeur coming up. These guys are really good. And then you got Tyler Glass now right in there, who's going to be your guy. He's going to be your anchor in the lineup. And they just find ways to win, similar to the Athletics. So that's why I have them at number 2. I just can't place them any lower because they're the Rays. They find ways to win. It's what they do. And then moving on, I got the New York Yankees finally at the number 1 spot in the AL East. They have LeMahieu. They re-signed LeMahieu. They got Judge. They got Giancarlo Stanton. They got Gio Urshela. They got Aaron Hicks. This is a really good team. They have probably a top 3 starting pitcher in baseball in Garrett Cole. I mean, this team is really nice. I see them easily running away with the division, in my opinion. The Rays I have getting a wild card spot. Yankees for sure winning the division. So that is my projections for the 2021 baseball season. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like on the video if you did. Please comment about what you think maybe should have been different. Give your opinions in the comment section down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me, and stay good, and we will see you soon.